Men that you should not date. I want to start with something very fundamental also. Men who are married but not separated. Men who are married but not separated. Please run away from such men. Listen, I'm not saying that they're all bad. We've had like a teaching on divorce, and I've told you how that people actually go through a lot of precarious situations that put them in a position where you can make even a biblical argument for divorce. You know, we've talked about domestic abuse, and when you talk about domestic abuse, people's minds automatically just run to a husband beating his wife. You know, I've heard stories. A woman who will, just pick things to hit her husband. The man will jump from a window. I'm talking about a wealthy family, an exposed family, but the woman has a terrible temper and things like that. You know, but at the end of the day, married and separated is different from divorce. You know, like there's this guy who talks about relationship, and he's Black American. I think his name is Stefan. So, you know, he made a very, very important point. He said, when someone says, listen, I'm married but I'm separated, just hear the first part. Just hear married. That's what you need to hear. You know, if he's very serious, let him make a commit. Let him settle whatever, you know, he had with the former person. You know, then you can now think about it and talk about it. Otherwise, no conversation. This is very important. Let me tell you this. When it comes to matters of the heart, things about relationships, sometimes we lie to ourselves. And we just think, it's not that bad. Or we think, I know this is what I should do, but he's different. Many of the things that pastors and relationship experts tell you are backed up with statistics. You know, a lot of things can go wrong. He just comes back one day and he just remembers, you know, he just has this nostalgia and remembers all that he has gone through with that first woman, and he says, you know what, I decided to make it work with her. What then are you going to do? Or, you know, I really like what I have with you, but it will be good for our children that I stay with my wife. You know, what then are you going to do? And then many times, they might even be lying. You know, they're not seeking to come out of the marriage, you know, and they're just using it to while away time. A lot of things can go wrong. So please, don't listen to such a man. The second type of man I want to talk about is a man who also, you know, I talked about this regarding ladies, who's not ready for a relationship. Listen, and there are many angles to this, but what I'm saying in essence is a man who gives you attention, you know, always in your space, blocking your website, you know, and all of that. In fact, the people who might be really interested in you, they are taking a step back because they see this guy all over you like a fly, you know, but he doesn't make any verbal commitment. This is especially precarious when it's someone you're also interested in and you're just waiting for him to say something. I want to say this. You see, many guys, emphasis on many guys, go for what they want. If he's not saying it, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. That's a red flag. You know, if he's not saying it, if he has not verbally told you, listen, I want us to date, you know, either of two things. It's either he doesn't feel you're the one, but he just enjoys your company. And listen, sometimes you might be tempted to just say, yeah, he will still feel like it's tomorrow, you know, but more often than not, he's still looking for someone who meets his criteria and ticks all the boxes. And that does not mean you're not awesome. He just has maybe weird expectations or personal expectations that you don't meet, and it's supposed to be like easy peasy, okay, no problem, move on. But when you stay there, that's when you will now come on Twitter and say, there's this guy that has been on my space, now I got wedding invite. Because chances are, if the lady he has secretly been waiting for shows up, he's going to move on. Or he just wants all the things that come with relationship. And this is, like I said, this is a Christian channel, so I'm not talking about sex or touching or any such thing. But he just likes the attention, the friendship and all of that, the commitment, without actually having like a sense of future. Weird ideas. He when he begins to tell you, let's not be particular about the names. I don't have to call you boyfriend, girlfriend. Let's just know that we have a thing going. He's trying to play with you. Don't believe, okay? And just pull the plugs. The second type of man, or the third, type of man I want to talk about is the selfish man. And I'm not even talking about selfishness when it comes to money, because we're talking about dating. It's not your father, hey? But we can talk about that. Even though he's not your father, I think you can check for generosity at the early stages. It's also important. But if I have more time, I'm going to touch on that in better detail. But what I'm talking about here is this: when you marry, when you're dating a man who is so full of himself that he is not sensitive to your emotions, he doesn't care. He's so egocentric, and he just acts anyhow, talks anyhow. When there's a decision to be made, it's his way or nothing. He's not even open to consideration. That's not someone you want as a life partner. That's not someone. In fact, these are the kind of people who maybe spiral into abusing their partners. I'm just saying. So you might want to watch out for that. All right. I'm not talking about someone who is strong-willed. I'm talking about another extreme. It's not even open to suggestions, not open to negotiations, and he just wants his way all the time. All right. And here is one simple way you can know you have such a person, in your life. If every time there is a problem, he always sees you as the problem. Always sees you. You are the one who, they are never introspective. They never sit back to say, okay, this is what I did wrong. Never. They never acknowledge that they are wrong. Never. They never apologize. Please run away from such a person. Otherwise, you'll find that you'll be dating yourself, and you're just going to be in an abusive situation. Even if it's not physical, it's going to be emotional abuse. So you want to run away from such a person. The next person that you should run away from is someone who is just a dreamer. He never wants to do anything. He always has, lofty ideas of things he would do, things he would become, things, but when you look at the person's track record, you can't see any pattern of consistency. So in the last 3 years, he has changed jobs 4 times, and in fact, not just changing jobs, because of course it's possible for you to get better jobs and all of that. But what I'm saying is, he will start something, give up, and then just say, at the age of 35, I think my calling is football. That's when he wants to now start a football career, and when you're trying to advise him, like, guy, he feels you're not supportive and all of that. So just dreamer. So after he tries football 2 years, he just says, I know it, it's not football, it's dancing, and things like that. Listen, especially because I believe that the biblical design is that the man of the house should be a provider, and should offer a sense of leadership for the house. The worst thing you want is to have a man in your house without a clear sense of direction, without a clear sense of leadership. And it's very easy, when you think about it, it's very easy to see patterns in that person's life. Just look at the decisions he has made in the past, and watch out for consistency. Now, listen, some people make this mistake and they go for ready-made, and they now have unrealistic dreams of marrying someone who is already rich, who already has it going, and all of that. There are not many people in that age group, in that are still single and have it going for them that way. But there are many Mr. Potentials. I think my wife has talked about this also. There are many Mr. Potentials, but there are also people who are just talkers. They are just dreamers. It's not potential at all. They're just dreamers. And talk is cheap. So even if you have not seen any grand evidence of success in their lives, you must at least see progress, no matter how little. You know what they say? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. You must see baby steps. You must see a man who is not lazy, who is hardworking, who is, doing his best, who is working hard to match up to the talk. You see? So listen, even though I've said ladies ought not be materialistic, there are some guys, who shouldn't even be talking and proposing marriage. What do you mean? You're an adult, you don't have a job, you don't have any sense of direction, you still stay with your mom. You don't have the right to fall in love. You don't have the right to fall in love. You don't have the right. No. So and it's very important that in the most polite way, you communicate your expectations. At least, even if you don't eventually date the person, help a friend out and say, what, I think this and this and this, are the things I would want in the person that I would date. I think it's very important. So otherwise, if you just compromise, I've seen many ugly situations where ladies compromise like that, and then they end up doing everything. You are the father and the mother in the home. You are the one who does everything, pays school fees, pays house rent, and everything. And people like that, they get worse when they find a woman, who is financially buoyant and doesn't mind. If you don't mind, get ready, because he's just going to get all these rocking chairs. Those ones that 75-year-olds use. We just buy it and be in that chair throughout the marriage. All right, so try just in the simple, most polite way to keep him on his toes. All right, keep him on his toes. I want to talk finally about the emotionally unavailable man. And I just want to say this about the emotionally unavailable man. The reason why all these signs are very important is this. If you're seeing the signs in dating, they will be worse in marriage. Don't ever lie to yourself. You see, dating is the fantasy phase. If you already have complaints, at the fantasy phase, run. Because I can tell you one thing for sure. After the first year marks, all the butterflies will die and your eyes will be opened. And you would then realize that beyond emotions, it takes more than just emotions to have a good marriage. You better have other things going for you. All right. And so when a guy is not ready to go out of his way no matter how busy. I'm not talking about you calling 5 times a day, because some of you are clingy, and you're like, hey, you see what pastor is saying? I've been saying it. No, calm down. You see, so there must be a balance. You see, you want someone who is pursuing his dreams actively and passionately, all right, and you should even support the person, aid the person in that. But at the end of the day, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you can't even sit down for a few minutes and talk, have it like a face-to-face conversation, and then he's always complaining. Every time you call is as if you are a waste of time. I think that's a warning sign. That's a red flag. All right, that's a red flag. And I listen, I understand that there are many reasons why guys act like this. Many of them don't. Some of them don't mean to. All right, it's because some of them are not even used to that kind of warmth and accountability. It's something they must learn. Some of them are broken, from past relationships, and hurt. They have to adapt. Listen, you don't have to carry the cross for, the mishaps of the past. Heal before you deal. Don't bring that on me. See, no matter how valid the reasons are, at the end of the day, it's going to drain you real bad. It's going to drain you, all right? And it's going to put you in a precarious situation where there is just like a void. There was a lady I was counseling who told me that for 2 weeks, what am I saying, 2 weeks? I think about 1 month, she will kneel and beg her husband to touch her. When you start hearing things like this, immediately you just know there must have been signs. There must have been signs, and all of that. You just, I'm busy, I don't have the time, and all of that. You see, I think I've shared enough points. And listen, if there are other things maybe you want us to discuss in the second part of this, put them in the comments. But I just want to end on this note. There is a tendency for you as a single person to hear some of these points and go, are we not too serious? Are we not taking this too far? Marriage deserves all the seriousness. It's not a game. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. And as I would often say, if Jesus tarries and all things being equal, you're going to be married at least thrice the age you were when you got married. So if you get married at 25, you'll be married for 75 years more, or let's say 60 years longer. That's a long time. That's a long time. Just imagine how old you are right now, times 3, and you're going to spend that much time with someone else. Listen, you better sit down, put your thoughts together, research on this, do the work of an investigator. I'm not asking you to be extra, suspicious and all of that, but with your eyes wide open, ask the right questions, do the right things, and ensure that you end up with the right person. All right. So extra points, just extra points. One bonus point. Please don't marry an insecure guy or an insecure girl. Listen, I'm not talking about having a relationship that is totally void of accountability. Listen, in marriage, I can't understand why some people, have spouses that they don't know anything about. They don't have access to your phone, they have access to anything. I don't think that's the Bible idea of marriage. But at the same time, if the person is always uncomfortable, you can't have any friend. You can't, listen, I'm talking about the extremes, all right? Always suspicious, always on your case, and literally feeds off compliments to be sane, just to be sane. I think it's also draining. Again, I'm talking about the extreme. Compliments are important, and all of that. But if it comes to a situation where, I think someone told me she wished a friend happy birthday, and said, "You're such a great guy. Thank you for helping me in my undergraduate days," and all of that. And then the boyfriend had serious issues with it. I kept bringing it up every single year. That's an insecure person. Run. All right. So ladies can be so insecure, guys can be so insecure, and it's a red flag either ways.
Thanks for watching Gospel Insider, where faith meets love and truth meets transformation. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring relationship talk, godly insights, and occasional gospel updates that keeps you informed and encouraged. Stay rooted in Christ, keep growing in love, and remember, every story has a lesson. Only on Gospel Insider. See you in the next one, and bye.